3, 2, 1. Something is terribly wrong. Weasels have eaten our world. Friends have been carried away by monkeys.
Indeed. Weasels have eaten the world and our friends have been carried away by monkeys. I couldn't say better. PolitiJim here. Kind of an angry rant today.
I'm afraid I don't know who sent this message.
Since Easter I have been feeling really out of sorts. I was so encouraged when Santorum dropped out Monday. My heart lifted, and I felt like Julie Andrews on top of a Alps mountain, twirling my little feathers round and round. My God, he would have been a horror as a candidate. Thank God he is out. I could not be happier. The man was an absolute hypocrite and liar. The 22-year-old friend, well, I guess acquaintance, that demonstrated that in the article that was out there late last week. The guy from Pennsylvania, probably the first person who interviewed Santorum as a candidate, documented how Santorum even used his poor disabled daughter as a lie to cover up for the fact that he didn't give hardly any money to the church. He said, oh, well, Bella has all these problems, so we've got more expenses than other people. Well, never mind, he's making millions of dollars on the board of a healthcare company that has a number of issues. When they went back to the year before he was born, he gave him even less. And so, just the sanctimony of this guy, and I still am just appalled at the Christians and the social conservatives who think this guy still just hangs the moon. Richard Vigieri, the conservative HQ guy, the guy who started all the direct mail stuff for conservative people, he started his article about his pullout and said, Rick Santorum proved that while some politicians talk about family values, he lives them. No, Richard. Saying you're pro-abortion and then doing everything you can to undercut real pro-life candidates like Pat Toomey, campaigning for pro-abortion, pro-partial birth abortion candidates like Christine Todd Whitman, subverting conservatives that want to stop Sotomayor from being on the Supreme Court. I'm sorry, those are not pro-family issues. Does he love his wife? Does he have kids? Does he seem to take care of his family? Yeah, I had a number of commenters on PolitiJim that said, how does a guy with 7 kids run for president and give any of those kids any of his time for the next 4 years growing up? Somehow, I guess the rest of America didn't see this hypocrisy. I guess it was okay for him to sacrifice that, but I'm glad he's out. I'm sure he's not a totally evil guy. I just think he's probably conflicted, but a hypocritical liar, almost as bad as Romney. In my opinion, based on demonstrable evidence. And so, of course, a number of people asked PolitiJim, well, what do you think about Newt jumping back in the, does Newt have a chance now? And I'll be honest, it looks grim. They have been suffocating Gingrich's message from the beginning. Even half-hearted attempts to help him when he was unfairly attacked as being anti-Reagan, which is just absolutely ludicrous. In some ways, Gingrich was more conservative. A lot of ways, Gingrich was more conservative than Reagan. He would have enacted tax cuts with watered down tax cuts at the urging of Bob Dole that would have completely killed the entire Reagan Revolution. And it was Gingrich that fought for him. He stood up to a number of things that where they were going to cave. And he actually expanded the GOP and the conservative brand. I don't know if you know that. He actually had a higher approval rating for conservatives in the GOP than what Reagan did by the time he left office as Speaker. And you can lay that at the feet of one Newton Leroy. So, but he can't get air. Rush Limbaugh, once again, has been, undercutting him, complaining, distorting what he said when the attacks on Romney came out, and, oh my God, no, you can't, you're attacking capitalism. No, he wasn't. He never attacked capitalism. He attacked corporatism, and he attacked people that would use their company for purposes of only getting money. That is greed. Maybe the reason Rush Limbaugh didn't want to look too deeply into that, maybe he's guilty of some mammon loving himself. He certainly talks enough about his wealth and things, and don't deny him. Be as rich as you want to. I'm happy for you. I hope everybody becomes richer than Rush Limbaugh. But to say that there's not a morality on how you make your money, and that is unfair game when that's going to be the number one target of people, going after that is just ridiculous. And he undercut and has created Romney for us the same way he created McCain in 2008 by picking apart every little thing about Mike Huckabee. Oh, Mike Huckabee's not really, he's no conservative. He's a closet liberal. Well, he's completely pro-life, unlike Romney. He, when he had to remodel his mansion, the Arkansas mansion, he went and lived in a double-wide trailer. And overall, he created incredible growth for the Arkansas economy and balanced their budget. And was he perfect? Absolutely not. Was he better than McCain and Romney? Yes, by a long shot. And it was Rush Limbaugh that gave us John McCain, because he would never fully support him. Paul Weyrich, the founder of the Moral Majority, founder of the Heritage Foundation, founder of the Free Congress Foundation, just was appalled by Romney after he realized, that Romney had lied and tried to blame the Supreme Court of Massachusetts for enacting gay marriage, when in fact, by an executive order, it was Mitt Romney that got gay marriage implemented in Massachusetts. Not by a legislative majority, not by popular consent, it was by executive order. Now, if Obama did that, we would be, sharpening the pitchforks. And yet Romney did it for Massachusetts, and a lot of conservatives are like, okay, well, now Romney's the nominee, we need to get behind him. No. Paul Weyrich said if McCain had nominated Romney as VP, he was going to bolt the GOP. He was going to split the party over this guy being vice president, let alone president. Will I eventually come into line if there's absolutely no hope for Gingrich? Absolutely, I will. I think it's very, very, very tough road for Newt Gingrich to get up. It doesn't seem like all I hear from the conservatives, of course the Santorum supporters like Michelle Malkin, oh, Rick Santorum did such a great... Why don't any people acknowledge the hypocrisy, the incredible graft and horrible things he did as a lobbyist that could have gotten him in jail? Why don't they acknowledge that, he covered up for another man's affair when a man's... one of John Ensign was sleeping with the wife of his staffer. The staffer came to Santorum for help and said, help me, my marriage is falling apart. And Mr. Pro-Family Pennsylvania ended up stabbing the guy in the back and tipping off the adulterer. That's a pro-family guy? You guys be as blind as you want to, but I am so disappointed in the conservative movement. And it's not just the Santorum supporters. It's just about every kind of supporter there is. Romney supporters who want to overlook that this guy has no demonstration, zero demonstration of being consistently conservative. Nothing. When he was a governor for 2 years, he was fiscally prudent. He actually did some really good things, and then he gave up. Even Powerline, his own group said so, that he gave up after 2 years. Started running for president. This guy is a political expedient group. Why do you think Goldman Sachs? Why do you think all of the Obama Wall Street supporters are now suddenly suddenly shifted over to Romney? They know he's going to protect big traditional government. And what's Obama's false premise going to be for the entire campaign? Wall Street is bad. The Republicans are greedy, people who just want your money, therefore government has to protect you, and we are playing directly into his hand. Absolutely directly into his hand. So, PolitiJim's a little upset today, as you can tell. But if Gingrich doesn't get some airtime, conservative airtime, to galvanize the conservatives around his message, I don't know how he wins. I don't know how he gets his message out. Very few people will just stand up and take a stand for the right thing, as we've proven. People who are following Santorum blindly, people who followed Herman Cain, even after it was clear that he had no foreign policy understanding whatsoever, and they still were blindly supporting him. And this is a job. This is an executive job of the most difficult office in history. And you're about ready to. You got two candidates for a Burger King to come run a Burger King. One guy ran a hamburger stand badly. Was out of 50 guys that ran hamburger stand, he was the 47th worst. And the people that own the hamburger stand wouldn't even let him come back. Okay? On the other hand, you got a guy that actually had built an entire franchise. And you got one of two guys to run your Burger King. Who are you going to choose? Right now, something like 60-70% of the Republicans say they want the guy that has already failed miserably running a hamburger stand, and they want to ignore the guy that's actually been successful. It's absolutely crazy. You've got the New Jersey judge claiming Obama was born in Hawaii, although there's zero evidence before the court that he was. He just decided to make it up out of thin air. You've got graft and corruption at every level of government. And we're going to elect a guy that expanded the government of Massachusetts, lost not only GOP seats, the total number of registered GOP voters went down when Romney was governor. Unlike Gingrich that actually reversed that. Gingrich expanded the Reagan Revolution. GOP and conservatism was more popular when he left because he knew how to find common goals with the liberals that would get those things through and start making us, giving us a chance to tell our story. Can't force it upon them. It's not going to happen that way. So, another PolitiJim friend, I still call him a friend though I'm pissed at him right now, had asked me what I thought, and I said, Gingrich has a woman problem, he has a message problem, he's got to get out. It's not him just being who he is, people have got to amplify it, people have got to get behind him. He certainly has the charisma to give a speech, we've all been moved hearing him speak, but people, the Rush Limbaughs, the Laura Ingrams, the Levins, they've got to get behind him. They've got to say, yes, I approach this. Look at Santorum's numbers. Santorum was muddling, was not going anywhere until Rush Limbaugh said he's the only conservative in the race. And his numbers shot up because he had the seal of approval. And I had this friend who said, well, endorsements don't matter. Yeah, right. Endorsements don't matter. That's why people try to forge the good housekeeping seal. That's why they can't wait for a Consumer Reports article that endorses them by a third party saying, hey, it's not just me saying this, somebody else says I'm good. If endorsements didn't matter, that they wouldn't. Are they everything? No, they're not. But especially when they're in people and media that people respect, it means a lot. It means a whole lot. Rick Perry endorsing Gingrich the morning of the Marianne thing saved him from certain destruction in South Carolina. It matters because it's called information cascade. People are too lazy to do the work on themselves. They're too spineless to stand on what the truth is. But they look at what everybody else is doing and they say, oh, well, this group thinks that he's okay, so that's what it is. And we just experienced that with Santorum supporters to the nth degree. Oh, well, this pastor says he's a good guy, so he must know. So I'll vote with him. No, it's your responsibility to do the homework. It's your responsibility. Try to tell the cop who pulls you over that everybody else was speeding, and therefore it was okay for you. Well, I trusted the guy in front of me looked like he was a good driver, so I trusted what he said. Or my brother or my mother or father were driving in front of me, and they were going 80 miles an hour, and I trust what they do. So if they felt it was okay, I felt the speed limit was okay. No, you're responsible to know the speed limit yourself and do what people are not doing. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. But my God, have we lost rugged individualism in this country. Everybody wants to do what everybody else is going to do, and I hear some conservatives now capitulating, saying, well, Romney's the inevitable nominee, let's not make it harder for him. No. There's only two ways I see Gingrich can rebound. One is if he picks a fight with Obama on the birth certificate issue, or something else. I can't envision anything else that would be as powerful. But if he started going after the corruption of the Obama administration, going after where are his documents, like Trump, I think he would absolutely soar, because there is 40-50% of Americans don't believe that Obama is legal, and the rest don't simply because there aren't enough other people saying the same thing. They think, like Ben Shapiro, editor of Breitbart, if you can believe this, well, my staff told me there was nothing there, so it's not. Oh my God, you're the editor of Breitbart News? And you're going to accept what your staff says and not do the homework yourself on possibly the worst offense of treason in the history of this country? My God, if Ben Shapiro isn't doing the homework to find this out or believe in Sheriff Joe Arapio, then, where is the conservative movement for speaking the truth? But oh no, let's show some video from 40 years ago with a liberal professor in the shouting something in the middle of a group of students that most Americans will look at and go, well, he was young, so what? And at the same time, conservatives won't give Gingrich the credit that he was young and foolish in his personal life. It wasn't his fault. I've got a blog coming out, Lord willing, here towards the end of the week that'll talk about the truth of what really happened in those two marriages. Family people really may change, if they're honest. They'll change their mind somewhat about Gingrich on this and realize the man did things that the average human Christian couldn't do, let alone the average human man, and standing up with forging on issues in the country when he didn't have any support at home. But that's for another day. So if he starts saying this birth certificate issue, he might get some air. People might follow him because they're saying, finally, somebody's fighting the fight. The other thing is he does have a woman problem. The whole woman, Beverly LaHaye endorsed him. No one knows this. No one knows that the head of Christian Women for America, an organization bigger than the National Organization of Women, more influential than the National Organization of Women in reality, not in terms of media, obviously, but in terms of reality, endorsed Newt Gingrich. This is one of the most conservative women, married to Tim LaHaye, the former Southern Baptist teacher, the author of the Left Behind series with Jerry Jenkins, endorsed Newt Gingrich. These are ardent, right-wing, Southern Baptist kind of fundamentalists. And yet this whole aura that somehow, people, that Gingrich is this pariah is just amazing. So he's got a woman problem. And one way for that to happen is for Sarah Palin to quit screwing around and come out and endorse Gingrich and join Gingrich in going after the Rhino GOP establishment. They need to declare war on the Rhino establishment like she did in Alaska against the GOP. If they did that, the 60% of the non-Romneys would coalesce around them. She would give cover to Christian women going, wow, if Sarah Palin's standing up for Gingrich, then maybe there's something there. And I had a friend, like I said, I call him a friend, I'm angry at him. And he started saying, oh, what, Sarah Palin has to endorse Gingrich again? She has never endorsed Gingrich. She said, oh, well, if I was a Gingrich supporter, I'd vote for him. Talk about a panty-waist politician statement if there ever was one. Get behind the man you're for. Quit screwing around. And she did the same thing when she says, oh, I voted for him in Alaska. If you're going to endorse somebody, endorse somebody. Quit leaving doors open. It's not the Sarah Palin that I know and trust. I still want Sarah Palin to be president. She doesn't have as much experience as Gingrich does, obviously. I think she's got some other benefits. Not a strong person for anybody right now. And she did us no favors when she gave cover to Santorum acting like a 5-year-old with the New York Times reporter that asked a perfectly legitimate question. And Santorum act like he was in kindergarten and someone threw a mud pie at him. And instead of saying it wasn't presidential or at least keeping her mouth shut, she says, oh no, it's fine that he said the bull word. Well, I thought this was the Christian guy that didn't need to use profanity. Did he look presidential there? Absolutely not. So, if she was to get behind him and the two of them were to fight for reform and to say, we're going to reform the party, then if they lose it, get behind him at the end. That's fine. But if, I only see two ways for Gingrich to win this. And, and for the Palin supporters who are just so blind, think she's a goddess. She is a human being. She's made tons of mistakes. She supported the Bridge of Nowhere before she changed. She did not finish out her term and fight, and it was perfectly her right to do that. You may have an excuse for all these things, like the Santorum supporters have for theirs. She's not perfect. She is not a well-seasoned national political figure. She's very divisive. She has more people that hate her than hate Gingrich, and that's saying something. But she's a great candidate. She can. I think she can make her way through all those, just like I think Gingrich can. But quit trying to cover up for her that she has really helped the conservative movement. When she stepped back and say, "Oh no, let them fight it out, let them be vetted," she should have gotten behind. If she was for Gingrich the whole time, I admire her even less now than I did then by not coming out and saying, "I think we should pick Gingrich." So let's see if she does it after Santorum. I don't think she will. I don't know why she hasn't. I don't know why she's still kind of these half-assed endorsements. But it doesn't help. And there are significant enough people that would see the signals from her if she was to say, "Let's fight this," that she might have a role without her title that she doesn't think she needs. Well, sorry, Sarah. If you had jumped into this race and were in a position to battle Romney, you would still be in the fight of your life because people hate her so much and they don't think she's electable because of the way that she's perceived by the mainstream media. I actually think she could have won that battle. I actually think it would be tougher for her than Gingrich, just because of the perception among, 45% or so of the GOP that aren't that excited about her. It's the numbers aren't there. She doesn't have 80% of the Republicans behind her. She doesn't step into this race and automatically suck up all the air because that's who we've been waiting for. Her numbers have never shown that. But she has a very strong, enthusiastic core that'll fight to the death for her, which is something we don't have with Romney. Less than, I think it was 11% of the GOP said they'd be excited about a Romney candidacy. That's almost half of what they said about John McCain. Half. And, you do need people to fight out there. Obama is planning to steal this election with hacking the voter machines. We know he's already been trying to stuff absentee ballots and illegal immigrants with votes. We know that he's coercing people in trying to intimidate. I think he's been intimidating these judges on his birth certificate issue. I'm absolutely convinced of it. But this country is about ready to fall apart. And if we don't have someone that isn't ready just to cut a few taxes, and if it looks too hard, they're going to give up on trying to reform and get rid of the EPA, get rid of the Department of Education, try to put the government and try to sell conservative ideas to people, teach people why conservative is good, which Romney has not done and cannot do. If we don't do that, somebody show me the plan. How do we get there? How do we show people that this works? It's not, Romney is not he's not a teacher. No one believes what he says to begin with. So you get behind him if you want to. I'm fighting for Newt. I am with Newt to the end. We need a miracle. We absolutely need a miracle for someone who will truly take on this government to win. My kids right now are destined basically for a grease light as it stands right now. Obama is going to try to steal this election. We need someone that's going to get in there and fight and call this guy on the carpet. The only guy that is consistently engaged Obama during this primary campaign to the place that Obama is changing his platform, coming out and, he got out and pretended like he approved the Keystone Pipeline when he really didn't. It's been Newt Gingrich with his $2.50 gas. The guy in third place was calling the shots. This guy knows how to orchestrate the media to get the battle into the ears of people. We still have to trust people that they'll see through this thing. But we need someone to battle. And Newt Gingrich, I know you probably don't listen to little old PolitiJim, but it's time. You can't play the safe card here. You've got to go after the corruption in your party. You've got to go after the corruption in Obama. And you've got to understand that this is the war here. We can't let the British take over. If we don't fight now, it's over. there is no more movement because the economics will turn around just enough where people are no longer angry. They'll settle in, and Obamacare will just will become the norm if it's not completely turned back. And I don't think Romney not only understands how to completely get rid of Obamacare, I don't think he has the heart to completely get rid of it. I think in the end, like his advisors have said, they'll settle for compromise. Well, let's leave some of the good parts in there. So wake up, conservatives. You don't like his marriage thing? Great. I don't either. It's not the story you think you know. But at the end of the day, you ought to care that your general actually knows how to conduct a battle, how to lead people into warfare, how to be successful, and has actually won some actual battles in the past. Instead of someone who is habitually not only caved, not only failed, but has actually told the pro-gay, the pro-global warming, and the pro-abortion forces that his whole plan for the past 6 years has been to infiltrate the GOP and moderate the GOP views. On record is saying that. So I say this is the battle we fight. We fight all the way to Tampa. If we lose, we lose. We'll support him. But let's give everything we have to turn this thing around and finally crush this rhino infrastructure that gave us Bob Dole, that gave us John McCain, that gave us the Bonnier Bill 3 and $1 trillion in tax cuts that they coerced both Alan West and Mike Ryan to vote for that. Paul Ryan, I'm sorry. Both of those guys, real good conservative guys. That's how influential the rhinos are. They even get our good conservatives to finally go along with them. Gingrich didn't. DeMint didn't. Let's fight for this thing. PolitiJim out.